Nerid Høiness was a young Norwegian woman who loved yoga and dreamed of a new life in Thailand. Just months after arriving, she vanished without a trace. She was later found deep in the jungles of Laos, an unidentified body far from home. The prime suspect was the man she trusted most, her Japanese boyfriend. This transnational case sent shockwaves through Northern Europe and Southeast Asia. For nearly 2 years, authorities across 3 countries unraveled a web of lies before the truth began to surface. Behind his gentle facade, what was he really hiding? Today, we revisit a case of love, betrayal, and a darkness no one saw coming. The story reaches its grim end in Vang Vieng, a small town north of Vientiane, Laos. Known for its dramatic karst mountains and backpacker trails, it was meant to be a place of freedom. In January 2020, it became a crime scene. On January 22nd, under clear skies, a lone hiker ventured off a remote path outside town. He was searching for jungle views when a strange odor stopped him in his tracks. Following the smell, he pushed through thick brush. What he found was a woman's body, curled deep in the undergrowth. She was already gone. Shaken, the hiker immediately called local police. Officers arrived and sealed off the area. Early examination revealed the victim was not Lao. There were visible signs of violence, ligature marks around the neck, and blunt force injuries. Investigators estimated she had been dead for 5 to 7 days. One detail stood out. Her backpack was still there, untouched. Inside, officers found a passport. The name read Nerid Høiness, 30 years old, Norwegian. She had been living in Koh Phangan, Thailand for over a year, working as an assistant at a local yoga school. How did she end up dead in the jungles of Laos? Nerid was born into a diplomatic family. Her father had served as a Norwegian ambassador. After her parents divorced, she was raised by her mother, Ellen Høiness. The two were close. Ellen supported every path her daughter chose. As a child, Nerid loved dance. As she grew older, that passion shifted to yoga. It became more than a hobby, it became her identity. She trained professionally and later traveled to India to deepen her practice. It was there that she fell in love with Asian culture. Soon, a new idea took shape: Southeast Asia. A few months before her death, Nerid said goodbye to her mother. She traveled more than 9,000 kilometers, from the frozen winters of Norway to the tropical island of Koh Phangan, Thailand. She rented a small bungalow surrounded by palm trees. By day, she worked as an assistant at a local yoga school. In her spare time, she continued refining her craft. On the surface, it was the life she had envisioned. She stayed in frequent contact with her mother. Her days seemed peaceful, purposeful, bright. To everyone who knew her, Nerid was finally building the life she had dreamed of. No one imagined how quickly it would unravel. The turning point in Nerid's life came when she met a Japanese man on Koh Phangan. His name was Hiroyuki Ogu. He was 38 years old, 8 years older than her. Hiro had been drifting through Southeast Asia for years. He wore dreadlocks, rode motorcycles, and carried an air of restless freedom. He also claimed to practice yoga. To Nerid, he seemed magnetic, adventurous, unconventional, different from anyone she had known before. Their relationship moved quickly. Within months, they were inseparable. Nerid told her mother she had met the man of her dreams. She spoke about the future with excitement and certainty. But Ellen was uneasy. The relationship had escalated too fast. She knew little about Hiro's past, his work, or his life before Thailand. Did her daughter truly know this man? Ellen urged caution. She asked Nerid to slow down, not to give her whole heart so quickly, but Nerid was already deeply in love. The more her mother questioned the relationship, the more defensive she became. Arguments followed, calls became shorter, messages less frequent. Gradually, the once close mother and daughter began to drift apart, and Hiro remained at the center of it all. A close friend from Norway traveled to Koh Phangan to visit Nerid. What she saw unsettled her. The Nerid she remembered, confident, radiant, independent, seemed different, quieter, more cautious. Around Hiro she appeared guarded, careful with her words, careful with her reactions. It was as if something in her had dimmed. The friend shared her concerns with Ellen. The unease that had once been vague now felt real, but whenever her mother pressed for answers, Nerid said little. She avoided details. She changed the subject. Silence replaced reassurance. By late 2019, tensions between mother and daughter had reached a breaking point. Nerid had originally planned to return to Norway. Then, suddenly, she changed her mind. The reason was always the same: Hiro. On January 8, 2020, Nerid and Hiro left Thailand and crossed into Laos. They rode a motorcycle north to Vang Vieng and checked into a local guest house, Sukakone View Guest House. Staff later recalled that the couple appeared affectionate, relaxed, ordinary, like any other travelers passing through. No one imagined this would be the last place Nerid would stay alive. Around the same time, January 8th, she contacted her mother for the final time. A simple, warm message. It would be their last exchange. What happened inside that guest house over the next days? How did Nerid end up dead in the jungle? And what role did Hiro play? As investigators began piecing the timeline together, one detail after another led back to him. Guests staying next door later told police they heard repeated screams coming from the couple's room after January 14th. A woman's voice, panicked, desperate. From that day on, Hiro refused housekeeping service. Staff were no longer allowed inside, and Nerid was never seen again. It was as if she had vanished inside that room. The most chilling evidence came from the guest house's surveillance cameras. In the early hours of January 19, 2020, Hiro returned to the room alone, carrying several bamboo poles. Shortly after, he emerged holding Nerid, unconscious. He placed her on the back of the motorcycle, secured her with the bamboo poles, and even put a helmet on her. The scene was carefully staged to look like a couple going out for a ride. Then he rode straight toward the jungle outside town. Not long after, Hiro returned alone, calm, composed, as if nothing had happened. Police quickly identified Hiro as the prime suspect. An Interpol red notice was issued and a large-scale manhunt spread across Southeast Asia, but Hiro seemed to vanish into thin air. He traveled through Thailand, Cambodia, and beyond, leaving no trace. At first, investigators considered local criminal gangs. Vang Vieng is a backpacker hub after all, with transient crowds. But Nerid's belongings and passport were untouched. Nothing suggested robbery or theft. This possibility was quickly ruled out. When the truth came to light, Nerid's mother, Ellen, was devastated. She mobilized every resource and connection she had, appealing directly to Norwegian authorities for help. The Norwegian police took the case seriously. They applied pressure on both Laos and Thailand and even prompted public calls from lawmakers to boycott tourism to Thailand. Before the pandemic, more than 240,000 Norwegians visited Thailand annually. For a country heavily reliant on tourism, the pressure was immense. The manhunt, spanning 3 countries and involving multiple police forces, dragged on for nearly 2 years. Finally, on November 20th, 2021, Laotian authorities arrested Hiro within their territory. Due to the sensitivity of the case, the information was communicated discreetly through diplomatic channels. It wasn't until around Christmas that Ellen and Norwegian police could officially confirm his capture. After nearly 2 years of waiting, the grieving mother finally saw a glimmer of justice. Hiro refused to admit guilt. He fabricated a story, claiming Nerid's death was an accident after a quarrel and that he panicked while trying to cover it up. But the evidence was overwhelming. Visible ligature marks on Nerid's neck, a forensic report confirming death by asphyxiation, complete surveillance footage, multiple witness testimonies, every piece fit together, shattering his lies. In addition, he faced separate charges related to illegal drugs. Nearly 4 years after the crime, the trial began in October 2022 at a court in Vientiane. Hiro was sentenced for multiple charges, including intentional homicide and illegal drug trafficking. He received a total of 18 years in prison, 15 years for murder, and 3 years for drug-related offences. Following the verdict, he was transferred to Phon Thong Prison, Laos's most notorious and tightly controlled facility. The prison houses serious criminals, drug offenders, and foreign inmates. Conditions are harsh: dim, damp concrete cells, almost no lighting, hard wooden floors to sleep on, and extremely limited food and medical resources. Once free to roam Southeast Asia, Hiro will now serve out his sentence in this harsh confinement. By the time he is released, he will be nearly 60. Hiro has been brought to justice, yet the scars of this tragedy remain. For Ellen, her daughter was her world. A brief, misplaced love and a deceitful man took her away forever. For Nerid, a young woman chasing dreams, passion and trust became fatal. Her life ended at 30, frozen in the middle of a journey that spanned over 9,000 kilometers. This case is a stark reminder to anyone pursuing dreams or love. The world is full of beauty and possibility. Love is precious. Ambition is worth chasing. But appearances can be deceiving. Do not surrender your boundaries or drift away from those who truly care. Stay alert, stay mindful, protect yourself. Koh Phangan remains lively. Yoga schools welcome new faces. Yet few remember the radiant, laughing Norwegian girl who once called it home. Justice may arrive late, but it does come. May Nerid rest in peace, and may this tragedy serve as a warning that such darkness should never be repeated.